I inherited the house on my 33rd birthday, which is exactly when every firstborn in the Crane family inherits the house. Not when the previous owner dies. Not when you're ready. On your 33rd birthday, the deed transfers automatically, the keys arrive in the mail, and you receive a letter written in your own handwriting, except you never wrote it. That's how it's always been. That's how it's been for 6 generations. The letter said, you must continue the silence, every year on the same date, alone, no witnesses, no exceptions. You'll know what to do when the time comes. Do not speak of this to anyone. Do not try to understand it. Simply do it. The consequences of breaking the silence are worse than death. Much worse. This is not a warning. This is a promise. The handwriting was mine. Every loop, every slant, every pressure point of the pen. I took it to 3 different handwriting analysts. They all confirmed it. I had written this letter, but I had no memory of writing it, none at all. My name is Rebecca Crane, and I'm a data analyst for a tech company in Seattle. I believe in spreadsheets, algorithms, statistical significance. I don't believe in curses or generational secrets or letters that write themselves. Or at least, I didn't. Not until I spent my first night in the Crane house and heard what lives in the walls. The house is in rural Oregon, about 2 hours from Portland, surrounded by 300 acres of forest that hasn't been logged in over a century. It's a large Victorian, well-maintained despite being over 150 years old, with a wraparound porch and too many windows. The previous owner was my Aunt Catherine, who I'd met exactly 3 times in my entire life. She died on her 66th birthday, exactly 33 years after she inherited the house. The obituary said natural causes. The coroner's report, which I obtained through a medical records request, said her heart simply stopped. No disease, no defect. It just stopped beating, like someone had flipped a switch. I found the room on my second day there. It wasn't hidden. It was right in the center of the 2nd floor. But every instinct I had told me not to open that door. It had 7 locks, not normal locks. Old locks, the kind that require skeleton keys, each one different. I found the keys in the kitchen, hanging on individual hooks, each labeled with a date going back to 1874. The most recent key was labeled with this year's date, my date, and next to it, a blank hook waiting for next year's key. The room was empty except for a table, a chair, and a mirror. But calling it a mirror isn't quite accurate. It was a sheet of polished black glass, 7 feet tall and 4 feet wide, set in a frame made of something that looked like bone, but was cold as metal. The glass didn't reflect properly. When I stood in front of it, I could see myself, but I was slightly wrong. My reflection blinked a half-second after I did. It breathed out of sync. And when I moved my hand, the reflection moved too, but it looked like it was moving on its own, like it was deciding to mimic me rather than being compelled to. On the table was a journal, leather, bound, pages yellowed with age. The first entry was dated October 13, 1874, written by my great-great-great-grandfather, Silas Crane. I have made the bargain. God forgive me, I have made the bargain. Every year, on this date, I must perform the silence. I must sit in the chair, face the mirror, and feed it what it hungers for. In return, the Crane line will prosper. We will never want for money. We will never suffer disease. We will never die before our time, but we must maintain the silence. We must never speak while we feed it. For if we speak, if we break the silence with even a whisper, it will come through, and it will take everything. The entries continued year after year, each written by a different Crane. My great-great-grandfather in 1900, my great-grandmother in 1933, my grandmother in 1958, my father, who I barely remembered, in 1991. Each entry was brief, clinical, describing the act without explaining it. Performed the silence, it accepted the offering, another year secured. Over and over, the same words, the same ritual, for 149 years. The most recent entry was from my Aunt Catherine, dated last October 13. This is my 33rd year of silence. I am so tired. The mirror has shown me what it really wants, and I don't think I can give it any more. But I will try. I must try. The alternative is unthinkable. If you're reading this, newest keeper, know that the first year is the hardest. Know that it will ask you for something precious, and know that you will give it, because the part of you that would refuse died the moment you inherited this house. We are not cursed. We are bound. There is a difference. I should have left. I should have burned the house down and walked away, but I couldn't, literally couldn't. I tried to leave the next morning, packed my car, got behind the wheel, and found that I couldn't remember how to drive. Couldn't remember my address in Seattle. Couldn't remember my own phone number. The moment I accepted that I was staying, all those memories flooded back. The house wanted me there. The mirror wanted its keeper. I started researching the Crane family history. What I found was disturbing in its consistency. Every Crane who inherited the house lived exactly 3 years after their inheritance, then died on their birthday. Every single one. No accidents, no murders, no suicides, just a heart that stopped beating at the moment they turned 66. And before they died, they all wrote the same letter in their own handwriting to be delivered to the next keeper on their 33rd birthday. A letter they had no memory of writing, but it was the prosperity that really stood out. The Cranes had been wealthy since 1874, despite having no clear source of income, no businesses, no investments, no inheritance from previous generations. Silas Crane had been a poor farmer before 1874. After 1874, he was a wealthy landowner. The money just appeared in his bank account, in his home, gold coins in his cellar, stock certificates under his mattress, wealth that manifested out of nothing, and the health. No Crane had ever died of disease, ever, no cancer, no heart disease, no infections. Medical records going back 6 generations showed an impossible pattern of perfect health, right up until the moment their hearts stopped on their 66th birthday. We were immune to everything except time itself, and even time moved differently for us. Catherine had looked 40 when she died at 66. My father had looked 30 when he died. We aged slowly, beautifully, perfectly, until we didn't. October 13 arrived faster than I expected. I woke up that morning and knew, with absolute certainty, what I had to do. I didn't want to know. I hadn't read anything that explained it. But the knowledge was there, planted in my mind like a seed that had finally sprouted. I knew I had to enter the room at exactly midnight. I knew I had to sit in the chair facing the mirror, and I knew what the mirror would ask for. It would ask for a memory, not just any memory, the most precious one, the one that defined me, that made me who I was, the core memory around which my entire identity was constructed, and I would have to give it up. I would have to feed it to the mirror and watch as it consumed that piece of my past, that piece of my soul. And in return, the bargain would hold for another year. The wealth would continue, the health would continue, the protection would continue, and I would be less, a little bit less human, a little bit more hollow. I tried to refuse. I spent all day on October 13 trying to convince myself I wouldn't do it. I made plans to leave, to run, to break the cycle, but as the sun set, I felt myself walking toward the room. My legs moved without my permission. My hands unlocked the 7 locks. My body sat in the chair, and my eyes opened to face the mirror. The reflection that looked back at me wasn't me anymore. It was something wearing my face, something that had been waiting in that black glass for 149 years, something that fed on the Crane family's memories like a parasite. Its eyes were too dark. Its smile was too wide. And when it spoke, no sound came out, but I heard it anyway directly in my mind. show me. It said, show me what you love most, show me what makes you, let me taste it, let me consume it. Feed the silence, keeper, feed me, and I will give you everything. And I saw what it was offering. Not just wealth and health. I saw myself in 10 years, in 20, in 30. I saw success beyond measure. I saw a life free of pain, free of loss, free of the mundane suffering that defines human existence. I saw myself at 66, still beautiful, still strong, my heart stopping peacefully in my sleep. No fear, no pain, just a gentle transition into whatever comes next. All for the price of one memory per year. 33 memories total. 33 pieces of my soul fed to the thing in the mirror. By the end, I would still be alive. I would still be Rebecca Crane, but I would be hollow. A shell. A person-shaped thing with no core, no center, no real self. The mirror showed me what it wanted. My 8th birthday, the day my mother taught me to bake. We'd spent the entire afternoon in the kitchen, just the two of us, making a chocolate cake from scratch. She'd let me crack the eggs, measure the flour, lick the spoon. We'd laughed when I got flour on my nose. We danced while the cake baked, spinning around the kitchen to music only we could hear. It was the last good memory I had of her before the divorce, before everything fell apart, before she moved away and I stayed with my father. That memory defined me. It was the reason I valued small moments of joy. It was why I tried to find beauty in simple things. It was the foundation of who I was as a person. The mirror wanted it, and I felt my hand reaching up, felt my fingers touching my temple, felt myself pulling the memory out like it was a physical thing. It came out as a strand of light, golden and warm, and I watched as I placed it on the mirror's surface. The black glass absorbed it instantly, rippling like water, and I felt the memory vanish from my mind. I still knew it had happened. I could still recite the facts. When I was 8, my mother and I baked a cake. But the feeling was gone, the warmth, the joy, the meaning. It was just information now, empty and cold. A story about someone else's childhood. The mirror smiled. My reflection smiled, and I realized it was smiling because it had won. It had taken the first piece, and it knew I would come back next year, and the year after, and the year after that. Because now that I'd fed it once, I was truly bound. The bargain was sealed in my own compliance. I stumbled out of the room and locked the 7 locks with shaking hands. The journal was open on the table, and I saw that a new entry had appeared, written in my handwriting. Performed the silence. It accepted the offering. Another year secured. I hadn't written those words, but they were there in my hand, in my pen. The house was making me document my own destruction. The next morning, I found a notification on my phone. My bank account had increased by $50,000. No transfer record. No deposit slip. The money was just there, and in my mailbox was a stock certificate for a company I'd never heard of, worth approximately $200,000. The wealth was manifesting, just as it had for 6 generations of Cranes. I tried to tell someone. I called my best friend in Seattle, tried to explain what was happening, but every time I started to describe the room, the mirror, the silence, my throat closed. No words would come. I could talk about anything else, the house, the inheritance, the move, but I couldn't speak about the ritual. The silence wasn't just something I performed once a year. It was a condition of my existence now. I was permanently muted on the only subject that mattered. I found Catherine's personal journal in her bedroom, separate from the ritual journal. Her private thoughts, written in the margins of recipe books and tucked into library books. What I read there destroyed the last of my hope. Year 17. She'd written, I barely remember my father's face. I know he existed. I know he raised me, but when I try to picture him, there's just a blur. The mirror has taken too much. I'm forgetting who I was. I'm forgetting why anything matters. The wealth means nothing. The health means nothing. I'm a ghost living in my own life. And later, year 25, I stood in front of a photograph of myself as a child today. I didn't recognize her. I don't remember being her. The mirror has consumed my entire childhood, piece by piece, year by year. I am 30 years old, but I have memories going back only 8 years. Everything before that is gone, fed to the thing in the black glass. I understand now why we die at 66. It's not a curse, it's a mercy. By year 33, there's nothing left to take. We're empty. Our hearts stop because there's no one left inside to keep them beating. I'm writing this now because I need to document what's happening while I still can. While I still have enough self left to understand that I'm losing myself. I've gone back to the room 3 times since that first night. 3 more October 13 THS. 3 more memories fed to the mirror. Year 2, it took my first kiss. I know it happened. I know the boy's name was David. But I don't remember what it felt like, that nervous excitement, that moment of connection. It's just facts now. Year 3, it took my college graduation. The pride I felt. The sense of accomplishment. The belief that I could do anything. Gone. I remember walking across the stage, but the emotion is absent. I'm hollow where that joy used to be. Year 4, it took the day I got my first apartment, my independence, my sense of self, sufficiency, the memory of standing in that empty living room, feeling like I could finally breathe, like I was finally free. The mirror consumed it, and now I don't understand why I ever valued independence. It's just a concept, an abstraction. I'm starting to understand the pattern. The mirror doesn't just take random memories. It takes the ones that made me human, the emotional touchstones, the moments that taught me how to feel. It's systematically removing my capacity for joy, for connection, for meaning. By year 33, I won't be Rebecca Crane anymore. I'll be something that looks like Rebecca, talks like Rebecca, moves through the world like Rebecca. But inside there will be nothing, just a void where a person used to be, and the worst part, I don't want to stop. I know what's happening. I know what I'm losing. But every year, when October 13 arrives, I feel that compulsion, that need. The mirror calls, and I answer. The house has rewired something fundamental in my brain. I am Pavlov's dog, salivating at the bell, walking toward my own destruction because I've been conditioned to do so. I've tried to find other Cranes, other people who escaped the cycle, but there are none. Everyone who inherited the house served their 33 years, then died. No exceptions. I found one case, my great Uncle Thomas, who tried to burn the house down in year 15. He succeeded. The house was destroyed completely, nothing but ashes. But it rebuilt itself. Overnight. By morning, it was exactly as it had been, down to the smallest detail. And Thomas was found dead in the chair, facing the mirror. His heart stopped. His face frozen in an expression of absolute terror. The house can't be destroyed. The mirror can't be broken. The bargain can't be undone. Once you're the keeper until your heart stops at 66. That's the price of the silence. That's what my family has paid for 6 generations of prosperity. But I've discovered something that the journal doesn't mention. Something I found in the oldest part of the house's foundation, carved into the stones. The 7th generation breaks free. The 7th pays the final price and ends the cycle. The mirror will demand everything, all at once, and if the 7th gives it willingly, the bargain dissolves. The wealth vanishes, the health fades, but the silence ends, the family is free. I am the 6th generation. I have 29 years left. And somewhere out there, probably not even born yet, is the 7th keeper. My child, if I have one, or my sibling's child, or some distant cousin I've never met. Whoever they are, they will inherit this house on their 33rd birthday. They will receive the letter in their own handwriting. They will perform the silence unless I stop it, unless I find a way to break the cycle before then. I've been studying the mirror, trying to understand what it is. It's not a ghost, it's not a demon. It's something older, something that exists in the space between human consciousness and whatever lies beyond. It feeds on memory because memory is the substance of the soul. By consuming our memories, it's consuming ourselves, piece by piece, year by year. It's an entity that exists purely through consumption. It has no form of its own. It only exists as a negative space, a void that takes the shape of whatever it devours. And I think I know how to kill it. Or at least, I know the price. The journal's last page, written by Silas Crane himself, contains instructions. Hidden instructions, written in a chemical solution that only becomes visible under specific lighting conditions. I found them by accident, shining my phone's flashlight at just the right angle. The text appeared like a watermark, faint but readable. If a keeper wishes to end the bargain, they must give the mirror everything at once. Not one memory per year, but all memories. Every moment of joy, every moment of pain, every experience that makes them human. They must feed their entire self to the mirror in a single silence, and when the mirror has consumed everything, when there is nothing left but an empty vessel, the keeper must speak. They must break the silence with a single word, release. The mirror will shatter, the bargain will end, but the keeper will be gone, not dead. Something worse, a living emptiness, a consciousness without content, awake but not alive, aware but not present, forever. That's the escape, that's the price of freedom for the seventh generation. Someone has to sacrifice not just their life, but their entire existence. Someone has to become nothing so that the cycle can end. I've been thinking about it constantly. I have 29 years to decide if I'm brave enough, selfless enough to pay that price. To save a person who doesn't even exist yet from a fate they don't know is coming. But here's what terrifies me. I'm not sure I have 29 years of self left. The mirror takes more each year. By year 15, I might not have enough humanity left to care about saving anyone. By year 20, I might not remember why I ever wanted to stop this. By year 30, I'll be like Catherine, a shell waiting for death, incapable of the kind of sacrifice that ending the bargain requires. If I'm going to do it, I have to do it soon, while I still remember what it means to be human. While I still have enough memories left to understand what I'm giving up. I went back to the room last night, not on October 13, just a random Tuesday. I unlocked the 7 locks and sat in the chair and faced the mirror. My reflection looked back at me with those 2 dark eyes, that too wide smile. You want to try something. It said without speaking. You want to be the hero, the one who breaks the cycle. How noble. How human. If I give you everything, I said, breaking the silence outside of the ritual, if I feed you my entire self, will you release my family? The reflection's smile widened. I will release them from the bargain, but I will not release you. You will remain empty, eternal, a warning to anyone else who thinks they can escape what they've agreed to. You will stand here in this room forever, a consciousness with no memories to give it shape. No thoughts to give it direction, just awareness, pure, endless, meaningless awareness. Better than what's waiting for the 7th generation. I said, is it? The reflection tilted its head, studying me. The 7th keeper would only have to suffer for 33 years. You would suffer forever, literally forever, long after this house has crumbled to dust, long after humanity has gone extinct. You would remain aware, experiencing nothing until the end of time itself. That's what you're volunteering for. That's the price of your heroism. I left the room without answering, but I've been thinking about what it said ever since. Is eternal emptiness better than 33 years of losing yourself piece by piece? Is sacrificing one person's infinite future better than sacrificing 7 generations of finite suffering? I don't know. And I'm running out of time to decide, because October 13 is in 2 weeks. Year 5 is coming. The mirror will take another memory. Another piece of my humanity will vanish. And with every piece I lose, The chance that I'll have the courage to do what needs to be done decreases. I've started writing letters. To the seventh keeper, to whoever they'll be, I'm hiding them throughout the house in places that can't be destroyed, in ways that can't be erased. I'm telling them everything, the truth about the mirror, the price of the silence, the way to break the cycle, and I'm telling them about my choice, about what I'm considering, because I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to walk into that room, sit in that chair, and feed the mirror everything I am. I think I'm going to save them from this curse, even if it means condemning myself to something worse than death. But not yet, not this year. I need more time. I need to experience a few more things, create a few more memories, live a little more before I give it all away. The mirror can have my past, but I want to build something of a present first, something worth sacrificing. I've met someone. Her name is Diana. She doesn't know about the house, about the mirror, about what I am. She thinks I'm just a normal woman who inherited property from a strange aunt. We've been dating for 3 months. I'm falling in love with her. And I know that eventually, the mirror will take this too. It will consume every moment with Diana, every laugh, every kiss, every quiet morning. But right now, while I still can, I'm choosing to be happy. I'm choosing to be human, because in 28 years I won't be anymore. In 28 years, I'll either be dead, my heart stopped at 66, hollow and empty, or I'll be something worse, an eternal consciousness with no content, trapped in a room that exists outside of time, aware of nothing except my own endless awareness. Either way, Rebecca Crane will be gone. This version of me, the one who can still feel, who can still love, who can still hope. She has an expiration date, so I'm living while I can. I'm feeling while I can. I'm being human while there's still enough of me left to understand what that means. October 13 is in 12 days now, year 5. The mirror is waiting, and I still haven't decided if this will be my last time feeding it, or if I'll continue the cycle for another 28 years. I think about the seventh keeper constantly. They're out there somewhere. Maybe they're a child right now. Maybe they haven't been born yet, but they're coming. And when they turn 33, they'll receive the letter. They'll inherit the house, they'll sit in the chair, and they'll begin their own 33-year countdown to emptiness, unless I stop it. Unless I'm brave enough to pay the price that Silas Crane should have paid 150 years ago. I found something else in Catherine's journal. A note she wrote in year 32, her second to last year. I saw the seventh keeper today. She was 5 years old, playing in the park. My great-niece Rebecca. She has no idea what's coming, no idea what she'll become. I wanted to warn her, wanted to tell her to run, to never accept inheritance, to let her heart stop rather than become what I've become. But the silence held. I couldn't speak. I could only watch her play and know that in 28 years, she'll sit where I sit. She'll feed what I feed. She'll lose what I've lost. And there's nothing I can do to stop it. She knew. Catherine knew it would be me. She saw me as a child and knew I was the sixth keeper, and she couldn't save me. Just like I can't save the seventh, unless I do what she couldn't, unless I break the silence permanently. Diana asked me yesterday what I was thinking about. I almost told her. The words were right there, trying to force their way out, but my throat closed, the silence held. I could only smile and say, nothing important. But she looked at me like she knew I was lying. Like she could see the hollowness starting to spread inside me. Rebecca, she said, whatever you're dealing with, you don't have to deal with it alone. I'm here, I want to help. And I wanted to tell her so badly. I wanted to explain that I'm not dealing with a problem that can be solved with support, or therapy, or love. I'm dealing with a curse that's been growing for 6 generations, feeding on my family, consuming us from the inside out. I wanted to tell her that I'm falling in love with her, but that love has an expiration date, because eventually the mirror will take it. Eventually, I'll forget what it felt like to hold her hand or hear her laugh or feel safe in her presence. But all I could say was, I know, thank you. The silence is absolute, the house makes sure of that. I'm going to perform the ritual in 8 days, year 5, and after I feed the mirror, after it takes whatever precious memory it chooses next, I'm going to make my decision. Continue for 28 more years, or end it now, save myself, or save the 7th keeper. I think I already know what I'm going to choose. I think I knew from the moment I read Silas's hidden instructions. I'm going to be the one who breaks the cycle. I'm going to be the sacrifice that ends 150 years of suffering. But I'm going to give myself 1 more year. 1 more year of being human. 1 more year with Diana. 1 more year of memories before I give them all away forever. And then, on October 13, year 6, I'm going to walk into that room. I'm going to sit in that chair. I'm going to face the mirror. And I'm going to feed it everything. Every memory, every feeling, every thought, every piece of myself that makes me me. And when the mirror has consumed it all, when I'm nothing but an empty vessel, I'm going to speak the word that Silas Crane wrote down 150 years ago. Release, the mirror will shatter, the bargain will end, the wealth will vanish, the unnatural health will fade, the Cranes will become normal again, and I will remain, not dead, not alive, just aware, forever aware of nothing, forever experiencing emptiness, forever existing without existing. That's my gift to the 7th generation. That's my gift to the keeper who will never have to sit in this chair, who will never have to feed the thing in the mirror, who will never have to lose themselves piece by piece until there's nothing left. I'm going to give them the thing I've lost, the thing that 6 generations of Cranes have lost, freedom, and all it will cost is everything I am, and everything I could have been, and every moment of awareness from now until the end of time itself. It's a fair trade. It has to be a fair trade, because if it's not, then what I'm about to do is the worst decision anyone has ever made, and I have to believe it's worth it. I have to believe that saving 1 person from this curse is worth condemning myself to eternal emptiness. I have to believe that, because if I don't, I'll lose my nerve, and the cycle will continue, and in 28 years, some child who hasn't been born yet will receive a letter in their own handwriting, and they'll inherit this house, and they'll begin their own journey into hollowness. October 13 is in 7 days now. I've stopped counting down to year 5. I'm counting down to year 6, to the end, to the moment when Rebecca Crane ceases to exist and becomes something else. Something that has no name because it has no self. Diana sensed something has changed. She asked me if I wanted to go away for a few weeks, take a trip, get out of this house for a while. I told her no. I told her I had obligations here, business to finish. She's worried about me. I can see it in her eyes, but she doesn't push. She just holds my hand and tells me she loves me, and I say it back, because I do. I love her. And in 1 year, the mirror will take that. It will consume the memory of falling in love, the feeling of being loved, the warmth of human connection. It will take it all, but after that, there won't be a year 6. There won't be a year 7. There won't be 20. 3 more years of slowly losing everything that makes life worth living. There will just be the silence, permanent, final, complete. And somewhere, decades from now, a child will turn 33. They'll wait for the letter to arrive. They'll wait for the deed to transfer. They'll wait for the curse to begin, and nothing will happen, because I broke it, because I paid the price, because I chose to save them instead of saving myself. That child will never know my name. They'll never know what I did. They'll never know that their freedom cost someone everything. But that's okay. That's the point. They'll just live, normal, human, free. And I'll be here, in this room, in this chair, facing this mirror, aware of nothing except awareness itself, forever. It's worth it. It has to be worth it. The silence ends in 1 year, and I end with it.